Welcome back to the Uncensored CMO. Now, this week is Super Bowl week. So what better guest than the Michelob ULTRA VP of Marketing, Ricardo Marques, to talk to me about how they made their Super Bowl ad this year. Now, I know it's a good ad because at System 1, we've been able to test some of the ads before even Super Bowl night. And this one, at the moment, is the top performer. Now, they've got history. They've been advertising for the last few years, been doing incredible work, and in fact are the third best Super Bowl advertiser of all time. So to find out how they did it, the secrets behind Super Bowl, and much, much more, you'll enjoy this episode, my episode with Ricardo Marques. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
John, thanks for having me. Such a pleasure finally getting the opportunity to talk to you.
And in Super Bowl week, right? So this is very exciting. So tell me what Super Bowl week is like at the company you work for, because it must be quite a big deal. Does everyone watch and wait to see your ad play out?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the most, let's say, talked about moments of the year. It's right at the start of the year, critically important for us to set up a successful year. And of course, the investment that goes behind it, the planning that goes behind it, the noise that we know is around Super Bowl. So everything about it is special. And we always look to bring our A game to any Super Bowl. And of course, this year is no different.
I was very fortunate, actually, because in 2010, I was working for Gatorade. And I was invited to the Super Bowl for the first time. And it was just a magical experience. So what I didn't appreciate as a British guy is quite what a cultural experience it was. I mean, in fact, the football, I have to say football now rather, but actually was, probably a small part of the day. There was so much entertainment and the shows and everyone dressing up. And it's quite magical, isn't it, as a bit of entertainment itself?
Absolutely. The best way I can describe it is imagine a World Cup that happens every single year in the US, right? I mean, 100 million consumers watching, the anticipation that leads up to the big moment. And again, all the brands that are putting their best work forward. So it is amazing. And I get incredibly excited every single year to be part of it.
I can really imagine. And there's a big percentage of the population, isn't there, that actually watch the Super Bowl live every year. So it's one amazing way to reach everybody, at the same time.
And of course, for everybody in marketing and brands, people are tuning in for the spots, for the ads themselves. So it is also quite unique, quite special that the brands are part of the show and something that people are looking forward to enjoying as well.
Well, the closest we get in the UK is Christmas. Like Christmas is kind of our Super Bowl where everyone does the best work and everyone's debating online, which ads won it this year and that kind of thing. So no, it's great. It's fun as a marketer to be talking about advertising, isn't it? And everyone else know what you're talking about for a change, which is brilliant. Now, I can't wait to talk about the Super Bowl and the ad you've got breaking this year as well, which is amazing. Just before we get into it, just for everyone listening and watching, tell us who you are and kind of what, how you got into the job you've got today.
Well, my name is Ricardo Marques. I'm the VP of Marketing for Michelob ULTRA. And believe it or not, I've been this year, I cannot believe that I'm going to say this out loud, 19 years with AB, with this amazing company. Feel incredibly fortunate to be part of this amazing team, surrounded by smart people that are energized, excited every single day to do their very best for the iconic brands we get to be able to market and support. So incredibly fortunate, 19 years. I mean, time goes fast when you're selling beer.
When you're having fun.
When you're having fun. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, over the past 5 years, leading this incredibly important brand for our US portfolio that is Michelob ULTRA.
Now, you've got some history of the Super Bowl, haven't you? And the reason why I think you're probably the perfect guest for me to talk to is you've got quite a back catalogue of Super Bowl ads. So given I work at System 1, I get an opportunity to retest every Super Bowl ad, and we have done for the last few years. I spoke to the team and said, right, send me all of your results, right? I want to see how you've been doing over the last few years. And it's well, first of all, congratulations, because it's a really strong performance. But I looked at two things. I looked at first the average of every advertiser that's ever advertised on the Super Bowl. So the average score they get when they've done more than one campaign. I mean, there's a lot of rookies actually every year. So we get sort of 30 or 40% of ads every year from retailers that only do it once. But I looked at everyone who's ever done more than one campaign. Here are the top three. So number one, Doritos. Number two, T-Mobile. And number three, yours, Michelob ULTRA.
Number three.
You're number three all time.
All time.
Correct.
Yes.
Wow. Now, all time since we started testing. So, I can't go back to the 1920s or whatever, but in recent history,
right.
And you've done a campaign every year for quite some time, haven't you?
That's right.
I also looked at your scores as well over the last 5 years. So starting with 2020, Jimmy Fallon, of course, very funny ad, 4.1 stars out of 5. So that was absolutely brilliant. 2021, 3.7. You had the legends, the still shots of all the legends, very moving. Post-pandemic, of course, that was very impressive. 2022, Peyton Manning and Serena Williams, 3.7. So again, very high. And to put it into context, high 3-star would be in the top 10% of Super Bowl ads. So you're very consistent. Last year, I have to say, last year was a bit of a favourite because you had Logan Roy in an ad. And Succession was at its absolute peak, wasn't it? Absolute pomp. 4.2. So how do you think you're going to do this year?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot here. I hope that it's going to be at least as good as last year.
Well, the thing is, because you must have broken the ad. Actually, let me ask this question before I tell you the answer. So there's always a debate every year. Do you wait till game night to show the ad, or do you break it in the week beforehand? What's your kind of philosophy on whether you kind of go early and make the most of the media, or whether you keep the surprise up your sleeve?
We love to actually premiere the spot in the days leading up to Super Bowl, because of course the anticipation for the big day is there. The conversation around the spots is already there, and we already capture a ton of great coverage. People talking about the spots, PR coverage. So it almost feels like we'd be leaving money on the table, so to say, if we would wait until Sunday for this big surprise reveal.
Well, our data suggests that you're right. We actually looked at the database, and we actually segmented it by every advertiser that waits till game night and every advertiser that previews ahead of game night. Zero difference. So there is nothing lost to the response from the audience for waiting. So that's good, right? So that's good. Now this year, there's usually about 60 advertisers during Super Bowl night, between sort of maybe 55 and up to sort of about 70, but 60 would be an average. This year, 13 advertisers so far have released their ads, and I'm delighted to say you've got 4.8 star, and you're currently number one.
Wow, 4.8.
4.8 out of 5. Wow. Now, sometimes there isn't a 5-star ad in the Super Bowl. If there is, there's usually 1 or 2. So already you're fairly comfortably going to be right in the top 5, I reckon.
I mean, that's amazing to hear. And I can tell you that the team is going to be incredibly excited because they've worked so hard over the last few months. It's been a multi-month process to get us to where we are today. And of course, our partners at White & Kennedy, New York, I'm sure that everybody's going to be excited.
They're an amazing team, aren't they? In fact, I had them on the podcast last year talking about McDonald's. They've done some spectacular work from it. The team are acing it at the moment.
Fantastic team, and yeah.
Now I've got to ask. I think number 3 is actually the Bud Light ad as well. So is there any internal rivalry between the teams?
We like to, all of us, put out the very best work, of course, and win as a collective. But, of course, everybody tries to outdo each other in a very positive and healthy way. And that's what we believe is a little bit maybe of the secret sauce on how AB historically as a company, parent company, has always been showing up so strong with multiple brands. We have 2.5 minutes in the game itself. We are the number 1, beverage advertiser in the game. And I think that's part of the secret sauce for sure. A little bit of healthy competition.
Oh, you're so associated with it as well. Well, actually talking about that, so you've had the exclusive rights from 1989, I believe, to 2022. That came to an end last year. What's been the impact of no longer having that level of exclusivity? Has it made any difference to how you've approached it?
To tell you the truth, it made no impact in how we prepare for a Super Bowl moment, because we always look to put our very best plans forward, and that has not changed. And in reality, when you think about it, we are competing with every single brand out there. The noise around Super Bowl, the attention that we are looking to capture. You said earlier, 60, right? 60 brands. Think about it, 60 brands go to the Super Bowl. So our competition is really those other brands that are competing for attention. So in that regard, nothing really has changed, especially in the context where in the past some of those competitors were advertising at the local level as well. So yeah, here we are again. I mean, this year we've been planning for this moment for months, and now finally the big days.
I'd love to talk to you a bit about what goes into the planning as well, because I think that people will be fascinated to know how long it takes and the approach. Before I do, though, we've got to ask the $7 million question here, because everyone wants to know, is it worth it?
The answer is, it depends. It depends on your creative. It depends on how you intend to use the Super Bowl. If it's a one-time campaign, a one-time moment, or if you're using it to really set up the rest of the year and to continue building on the story that is relevant for your brand. And it also depends in the sense that you need to have, you need to be set up from a retail standpoint, from a shop floor standpoint, from a commercial standpoint, to maximize the moment of Super Bowl and convert that into actual sales. For example, in the beer category, we know that this is one of the key selling weeks in the year, is the lead up to Super Bowl. So for us to have those retail plans ready to capture these amazing opportunities is absolutely key. So it depends. If you do all of those, absolutely yes. It is worth it. You are in front of 100 million consumers who are actually paying and welcoming brands and commercials. So yes, it is worth it.
So what would your KPIs be for a successful Super Bowl? Do you have like numbers of case sales or awareness? What would be your KPIs to judge a good Super Bowl?
Of course, sales, the most important KPI ultimately. But then surrounding it, you would say conversation, cutting through the social media conversation in and around Super Bowl. Are we getting talked about? Are people connecting, sharing our spot, talking about everything else that we have surrounding it? Very important. And of course, more of a long-term one is brand health. Are we building the brand, setting up the brand for the long term as well? So those are the three things that we tend to look at.
Now, how much of a secret is it? So for you talked about your customers, obviously you work with lots of distributors, don't you, that get Michelob out to the bars and up and down the country. When do they get to see the Super Bowl and all the other bits that go around it?
Well, we like to share with our partners, with our wholesalers in advance, before even we pre-release. And I had the opportunity to do that just a few days ago to a crowd of close to 4,000 distributors, it's always incredible to be able to get to that moment where you share the work with our network. And we get to hear real-time feedback too, which is great.
That must be quite a moment for you as well, because presumably you've been planning this for a long time. It's the first time they're seeing it as well. What's that feeling like?
It feels great. I mean, when you're confident in the work that you're putting forward, and when you know that you've been planning, carefully and throughout so many months to get us to this point, then it's a moment of enjoyment. You go out there to have fun and to let people enjoy the work and be as excited as you are.
Brilliant. Now, just before we talk about it, what we might do, we might play it for everyone watching and listening as well.
Hola.
Maybe a different beer?
No, Michelob ULTRA.
Okay, be right back.
I can't wait a moment more.
That's Messi.
What do you mean, Leo? We go way back.
Say it's me that you adore. And then, darling, tell me when.
Dan the man. Come on, he's not even trying out there.
Mr. Messi.
Tell me quando.
Michelob ULTRA, superior light beer.
Talk us through the ad you made this year, because it's got a particularly unusual, it's got a news star as well, isn't it, of the ad. But you talk us through the ad and then we'll get into how you made it.
Yeah, I mean, this year's spot, very, very special. Of course, we have the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi, being the star of our Super Bowl spot, next to Emmy award-winning actor, of course, Jason Sudeikis, and Dan the Man Marino as well. So the three of them land on what we believe is a simple yet incredibly entertaining spot to watch, a delightful spot to watch Messi doing what he does best on a beach, which is, of course, a perfect setup for a beer brand. And I would also say that one of the things that we get particularly excited about is the fact that you cannot tell this story without talking about Michelob ULTRA. Our brand is the catalyst for what happens. And that's, of course, very important as well.
Yeah, it was very natural, wasn't it? Because like sometimes, the product itself is forced into the ad, but actually it's just a natural part of the story, isn't it? Which is lovely. It means anyone watching it understands immediately, which brand is being talked about. But I've got to ask a question. And obviously, being an English guy as well, you've got a soccer player in a football ad. So help me understand why that is.
Well, I mean, it's undeniable the impact that Messi had in the US upon his arrival in Miami. I mean, right now is not only the greatest of all time in the sport, but he is also a cultural icon in America. And that's incredibly powerful. Then again, at the same time, the reason why I'm so excited about the spot this year is it's not a soccer spot for soccer fans. It's a story that resonates with people from all walks of life, partly because we bring Jason Sudeikis as well and Dan Marino, but then again, because the story itself is very relatable. We've all been there on that beach. We've all been at the bar when the keg runs out. And it's incredibly relatable, and that brings the audience along for the.
And Dan
ride.
Couldn't help but throw the ball, of course.
Of course, it's very Miami as well.
It is very Miami, isn't it? Which is brilliant. Now, take us back to the beginning. So, when do you start briefing something like this? When does that process start?
Oh, very early. I can tell you. We like to have the luxury of time to really go out and explore different avenues, different creative ideas. And we really started in April, late March, early April, when we started working on what is now going to be on Super Bowl Sunday. And we like that because it just allows us to not rush into the work. And so that's one point. The second one, it's the fact that it allows us to really use the Super Bowl as a moment to set up the rest of the year. It's such a big moment to be just a one-off of a Super Bowl Sunday campaign. It really helps us really plan the year around it. Multi-month process, different ideas, different great discussions, and here we are. That's why I said earlier, when the team hears about the result, they will be incredibly excited because it's been a long time coming to get us.
Well, it's very good. And just to say as well, the 4.8 star is with the total population as well. So it includes everyone's, the Super Bowl audience, right? Because it does appeal to everybody. You're a slightly more premium brand as well. So what's the strategy and what's the thinking behind the brand and how you position it in market as well? And how does this communication deliver that objective?
Absolutely. I mean, Michelob ULTRA has been a first mover into the category. I mean, launched back in 2002 around this very novel concept back then, a beer for those who enjoy an active lifestyle. And it has been incredibly consistent over the past 2 decades, of course, with different creative expressions of that very same idea. But to your point, what we look to do is to innovate, to bring creativity that people enjoy. We look to stay very consistent, not deviate from that original story. We look at the level of talent that we bring forward to partner with us. And of course, Super Bowl is no exception. And then we look at a number of different executional details, be it from design, for example, how we show up in store, the music that we pick up, decide to have on our ads, the tone of the brand. Every single element is curated to deliver, again, on that idea of being an active lifestyle brand. And at the same time of justifying the price premium that we're charging for consumers beyond the product itself.
Yeah. You talked about some of the executional details as well. And I'd love to get into that because my colleague Orlando wrote this amazing book called Look Out, where he looked at the features in an ad that kind of capture our attention and create emotion and that work in the long term. And as I read through that, it's almost literally describes your ad. So the sorts of things that, capture our attention is you've got characters, acting sort of thing. You might have a scene that unfolds. You've got one beautiful 60-second scene, haven't you, that kind of unfolds in front of you. He talks about recognizable places. So, we tend to build emotions when we see places we recognize rather than ads that can be very flat, and like, who doesn't want to be down the beach having a beer? I mean, it generates all the right emotion. Another thing he talks about is knowing glances. So the kind of looks in people's eyes and the interaction. You've got that brilliantly between the 3 main characters and the supporting cast as well. The type of humor, it's not laugh out loud, but it's definitely put a smile on your face kind of feel good humor, isn't it? And the final point, which he talks about, which you've absolutely nailed, and you do throughout actually all your executions, is you pick the music very well. And I think it's almost one of those core ingredients in all of your work, isn't it? Is that how you do uplifting kind of, emotive soundtracks. Is that a conscious part of your decision when you're kind of crafting an ad?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Music is such a powerful element, sometimes overlooked maybe, but it's such a powerful element of any piece of communication. It helps you deliver the right tone for the brand. It helps you elevate the story. It helps you trigger emotion. It helps you cut through at the end of the day. And you can have the same piece with two different pieces of music, and you have two completely different spots. Such is the power of music in a spot.
Yeah, that comes through very, very clearly. And in fact, all the ones that I looked at the last 5 years, they all had something, a kind of a cultural, kind of significant music track, but also kind of in the spirit of the ad itself, doesn't it? In terms of almost part of the storytelling is and you got that perfectly with the beach scene.
And this year is exactly no different. The Quando track that we have in this year's Super Bowl spot, if you listen to the lyrics, it kind of talks a little bit to what you're seeing on screen. The pace of the song itself beautifully kind of blends itself into the action that you're seeing on screen. So it adds to the story at the end of the day.
And what I thought was another helpful one, I mean, you've got three well-known kind of celebrities in your ad, but actually when we looked at the report, what the audience take out is exactly what you want, which is like the occasion of being on the beach and having a beer and having fun and being together. All those things come out way above the fact that it's got some celebrities in it, which is great. So they're like the supporting cast. And it's interesting, actually. We again look at the data on System 1. We looked at the impact the celebrity has. And what's fascinating is we took all Super Bowl ads, about 63% of all ads have got a celebrity, which is quite surprising, really. Well, it's not surprising with Super Bowl, but it's quite surprising in general for advertising. But we found celebrities overall make no difference at all to the actual score. But it's how you use them that really matters. And actually whether you're using a celebrity in the way that they're supposed to be used, doing the thing that they're famous for, like you've done with, and integrate as part of the story. And that's what I think you've done very well, isn't it? Which is, so does that come into your consideration in terms of how you cast celebrities and the role they play in the storytelling?
Exactly right. It needs to be a partnership in the sense that, for example, in this year, we have Messi doing messy things, doing his magic on a beach. So it's authentic to him, but at the same time is very authentic to Michelob ULTRA as a brand. It's the catalyst of the story. The trigger for what happens in the spot is the fact that beer runs out. We ran out of Michelob ULTRA. So the beer plays a central role there. The setting on this beach bar, incredibly authentic to the brand. So there needs to be that element of authenticity to the brand and what we're trying to communicate for the brand, and authenticity to the celebrity, in this case, Messi.
Yeah, the data really, really backs up. So if you were giving some advice, so you've got a lot of experience doing Super Bowl advertising, right? So what would be the top 3 bits of advice that you'd give anybody who's going to set out on their first Super Bowl campaign or their first big budget above the line? Because it's one of those moments in your career. I mean, you've been very, blessed to have, so many, award-winning and high-profile campaigns. But I remember when I got the first chance to work on a big budget, it's quite intimidating, isn't it? Because the stakes are high, you don't want to get it wrong and so on. So what would be your advice to somebody maybe starting out and get their first shot at a big commercial?
Well, first of all, it is an incredibly special moment. We always feel blessed that we get to work on an amazing brand that goes to the Super Bowl stage. We get to show the work to millions of people, 100 million plus people. So that's incredibly special. Top 3 things that we always think about is first one is plan well ahead. We don't leave it to the last minute, the last 2 months of the year. We like to plan well ahead. That's incredibly important because you want to have time to land the best creative. You want to have time to land a full plan around Super Bowl. Time is key. The second one is don't forget your brand. It is very easy to fall into the trap of looking to stand out in what is a very crowded environment around Super Bowl and look to do something that will cut through, but not doing that at the expense of what your brand is all about. That's something that we always think about. Is this authentic to Michelob ULTRA? Does it deliver on what we are as a brand? Is it consistent? Is it true to our product? Brand needs to take center stage. And then again, be consistent as well with what your brand is. And then finally, of course, look for creative voltage. It is the Super Bowl. You have to bring the very best. There is no other way. I mean, think about the numbers of investment that you quoted earlier, right? It only makes sense. You have 60 other brands. It only makes sense if it helps you, if you have the voltage, the creative to not only win Super Bowl, but then launch your plan through the rest of the year. It is conveniently placed at the start of the year. It's an amazing opportunity to really supercharge your plan and kick off the year the right way.
It's really interesting, actually, what you said about the sort of the novelty to create the buzz versus doing something authentic to your products, because we have this debate at Christmas as well in the UK, because a lot of brands try and do something completely surprising every year, and then you go, oh yeah, I like that ad with the bouncing QR code in it or something, and which brand was it again, so there's this balance, isn't there, between being authentic and being clearly who you are, as you did very well in this year, and doing something that everyone's going to talk about. And those two things are quite hard balances. Yeah. And it's interesting that what we find, because I think Super Bowl is the most fun night for us at System One, because we stay up late and we test all the ads within an hour, right? So Mike, who's the guy that's in charge of the testing, is just working like all through the night, kind of getting it all tested at live as it happens, kind of thing. And it does an amazing job. But it's always interesting to see what the social media reaction is compared to what the audience kind of feel. And they can often be different. The ones that people are kind of like the bouncing QR code last year, that everyone's going mad about on social, that broke the internet, got no reaction from the audience, and everyone was confused, going, what's going on? So there is a tension, isn't there, between the sort of, PR generation and the delivering on the core fundamentals.
And the other aspect of Super Bowl, of course, is you are talking to literally everybody. That's also very important to keep in mind. Talking with everybody, all walks of life, coast to coast, which is, of course, what makes it so powerful. But that's yet another important consideration that for us, especially thinking about this ad, beyond soccer fans, we wanted to have a piece that resonates across the board.
Yeah. Well, this also made sense of my first Super Bowl, which I realized actually it's entertainment, and the football is obviously it's what it's about, but actually it was, the entertainment, the halftime show, everything was so mass appeal as well. And an interesting stat we found as well is that only 16% of Super Bowl ads actually feature or any kind of sporting players, actually, not just football players, but any kind of sporting players. So it just shows how mass market an event it is. It's way beyond the kind of NFL final, isn't it, in terms of its appeal?
100%. It's a cultural moment, really.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. Definitely is. Now, how do you, given the importance of particularly for you this year, after the year you've had last year, how important is this year to you, and how did you sell that into the organization and get the organization behind your first Super Bowl since some of the bumps, I'll describe them as you had last year, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, it's any Super Bowl is special. This year in particular, it is a pivotal year for Michelob ULTRA, for us to supercharge our growth trajectory. Again, incredibly successful over the past 2 decades. Brand has been on an incredible growth trajectory. We grew 41% just between 2019 and 2023, which is quite amazing. And we're looking to continue on down that same trajectory. So this Super Bowl is even more meaningful for us to kick off the year. And again, we have an incredibly exciting year ahead of us with all the events that are coming to the US calendar. I mean, you think about Copa America, for example, in the summertime, and many others. It's a very special moment. And again, combined with the excitement that I felt from our distributors, the plans that I know that we have on the floor in retail to capture the moment, and everything that's going to follow from Super Bowl Sunday onwards, I can tell you that I couldn't be more excited about what the year holds for Michelob ULTRA.
Now, this is a very good point. And going back to my UK experience, we often say an ad is for life, not just for Christmas, or a campaign is for life, not just for Christmas. And the Super Bowl is an even more extreme version of that, because I think at Christmas, it's probably about a 6-week kind of run that you have. The Super Bowl is like 2 weeks of intense, publicity and hype, one night of 60 ads being played out, and then the news cycle moves on. So what are your plans beyond the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, look, think about it. March, soccer season kicks back up, and we will see Messi back on the pitch. That's just a few weeks later, and we are ready for that. So in many ways, having this particular theme of this spot with Messi helps us paved the way to March, start of the season, and then of course Copa America. Copa America coming back to the US for the first time since 2016. So it is an incredibly special moment to have that tournament being played in the US across 14 host cities over the summer period, which is of course a key selling season for beer, right? And if you think about it, back in 2016, we had over 1 million fans attending in person and over 100 million tuning in for Copa America. So it is something that we are incredibly excited about, and only to continue a couple of weeks later into the Olympics as well. So it clicks beautifully into what we have in store for the brand throughout the rest of the year, not to mention, of course, our partnership with Williams Racing and Formula One, and many, many other aspects of the plan.
Now, I'd love to find out a little bit about some of the things you're doing there, because from what I understand, there's some quite innovative things you'll be doing. But there's a slight irony as well this year in that Messi's boss, Beckham, is appearing in another Super Bowl ad. So it's like this is the year of soccer, isn't it? Like you got Beckham in an Uber Eats ad, and then you got Messi in your Michelob ad.
Look, and that's part of the exciting thing. I mean, I feel like the sport, soccer in the US, I mean, it's about to enter a golden era for sure. I mean, just the fact that we have the 3 most important soccer tournaments in the world being played right here over the next 3 years. I mentioned earlier Copa America, next year to the FIFA Club World Cup, and of course the FIFA World Cup in 2026. So there is certainly a very exciting road ahead for soccer, and with Michelob ULTRA right now being part of that journey, thinking about how that clicks into our plans. I mean, it is incredibly powerful.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of the innovation you've approached your communication with, because you've done some pretty cutting edge things using AI, haven't you, to give fans an experience of being kind of, in the action that maybe they wouldn't done before. Just explain some of the things you've done, because it's quite mind blowing when you explain it.
Well, I mean, we like to bring cutting edge technology in service of great storytelling and entertainment. And with the team here in New York, FCB New York, we've been doing this, I'd say, consistently over the past 5 years, starting back in the middle of the pandemic in 2020, when everything stopped, when the world stopped. We brought, in partnership with the NBA and Microsoft, the Michelob ULTRA courtside, bringing virtual fans into basketball arenas. You could literally be sitting in the comfort of your living room, appearing to be courtside in broadcast.
So would I see myself? So if I was watching, I'd see myself sat here in the arena, right?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
You would literally be sitting courtside, and you'll show up in the broadcast, bringing the energy of the fans into the bubble. Back then, it was quite a novel entertainment experience, one that added to the sport, for the players, to the fans, and that was our first kind of step into thinking about technology as an enabler of great entertainment.
So it's funny how it's funny how the pandemic actually created a natural experiment, didn't it? Because we suddenly had a period where there were no fans. I mean, I know my team, Southampton, sadly not in the Premier League anymore, but it was quite interesting. The year that they kept the fans away from the stadium, we did really well, because what we discovered is that the bigger teams with the bigger stadiums have got like a fan benefit boost, basically, by having such greater number of fans in the stadium, and actually not having the fans was like an equalizer for the teams. But it's fascinating. You learn quite a lot of things, don't you, through
exactly right. Even just the viewing experience, watching these games at home with the energy of the fans, it is a completely different experience. So for us back then, that was like a big let's say. And when the pandemic was over, the learning for us was there is more that we can do to deliver on what Michelob ULTRA is all about, leveraging technology, leveraging great storytelling beyond traditional advertising, which is certainly very important in everything that we do. But to reach our audience through different platforms, this is exactly what we need to be doing. So we followed it up with McEnroe versus McEnroe, bringing the great John McEnroe to play against himself, but not in a video game type of format, on a real tennis court, on a physical court. And that, from a technology standpoint, was just incredible. I mean, we had 4 robotic arms on the other side of the court. We had John playing on a real court. And then we had a missed screen because, of course, we needed a projection, something to project on so that John would see himself. We analyzed over 1,000 matches in John's career. because the AI was mimicking what he would do in the different years. We picked 5 different years, pivotal years in his career. And we created a 1-hour show special talking about John and his legacy, but then watching him play these avatars of himself back then. And that was just mind-blowing. It resulted in a unique piece of entertainment, which we distributed with ESPN in 50 plus countries around the world.
I'm interested because it's amazing use of AI and technology, of course. How did he feel playing himself? And did it change his game? Because he's quite a temperamental kind of guy, right? Did it change how he approached the game as well?
He was
he rattled by himself? I mean, did himself swear at him and shout?
They did, yes.
Really?
So there was interaction between him and the avatars. And that's, also part of the the entertainment value of the.
You cannot be serious.
You cannot be serious is absolutely there, of course, and it's interesting because it also allowed him to reflect on his career in a different way, and hearing from him, and basically he lands the final interview after the matches. His message is enjoy yourselves out there. Of course, there's a lot of pressure in the game or whatever you do, but just enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, enjoy every minute. And he said, well, I was kind of an intense character myself.
That's interesting. So we can learn from the AI representation of ourselves in a way, because we get to experience ourselves in a way that we wouldn't have done otherwise, I suppose. That's
exactly right. And again, a unique piece of entertainment. And that people wanted to watch, that had genuine entertainment value. And that's also why ESPN wanted to distribute the content. We did not pay ESPN. It was not an advertising play where we paid ESPN to run the content. There was genuine value there. That's why they decided to get behind it.
Now, I believe you've got a similar idea, but for Formula One coming up soon, haven't you? Tell me about that.
That's exactly right. Super excited about it. We announced Lap of Legends last year during the Vegas Grand Prix. And in a similar vein to McEnroe, we are bringing Logan Sargent to race in his 2024 Williams against the legends of the past, Williams legends of the past. And we're talking about the likes of Andretti, Villeneuve, Button, and a few other names to be announced very soon. He will be in his current present-day car in Silverstone, of course, and all of the other drivers will be AI generated. So they'll be avatars on the track, leveraging, of course, all the data that we have collected over the years to create a very compelling race. Of course, to make it competitive, because cars have evolved, right, throughout the years. We are taking the DRS out of Logan's car. We're taking the battery, and we're putting everybody in modern day tire compounds. And we're also lining the grid from the oldest car to the newest car. So Logan will start at the back of the grid, and that will make for a very compelling race. And it's also an opportunity for us to talk about Williams. Here we have one of the most iconic names in the history of Formula One that maybe American fans are not as familiar with. It allows us to talk about the amazing rich history of Williams through the decades, talk about those amazing names that have made Williams such a special team to drive for.
One of my other favorite things you've done is how you brought a blind man to commentate on the NBA, which is incredible, isn't it? To the use of technology to enable people to experience sport in a way they haven't been able to before. Tell me more about that, because I think that's quite an astonishing initiative.
That was one of the most moving experiences for me personally, was sitting in that studio that we set up for Cameron Black and watching him experience basketball, the game of basketball, with such tremendous joy and excitement. That for me was incredibly moving. So what we did was we got Cameron Black is a sports journalist. He is visually impaired. And he told us, look, basketball is just a very difficult game for me to enjoy because it's so fast. And that for us was the insight, the impetus behind the program. So what we did was, through a year in the making, through the use of technology, we got him an haptic vest, adaptable braille, that was getting data straight from the court. So much so that he was actually ahead of the broadcast. I was watching him from the studio and watching the live TV broadcast. His feed was ahead because he was getting the data in his braille set. And then, of course, we had him in a specially designed studio with a number of different speakers to give him spatial sound and the idea on where the game was moving. And again, just watching him deliver the game and commentate on the game, the entire game. He did the entire game.
Now, when you watch this, he is in the moment, isn't he? He is like, you would not know he's blind, because he's absolutely animated,
absolutely
in the moment himself. All the passion, energy that any sports fan would have for
exactly, which results again on a unique piece of entertainment. And then it also has a legacy component to it, because the tech that we use is being packaged now, available now with the Knicks and the MSG for visually impaired fans attending in the arena. So it's more than that moment only that was incredibly special. It's also something that has a legacy behind. That's what we love to do, and we keep pushing ourselves. And the team, again, all kudos to the folks at FCB New York. Incredible team there to come up with these amazing ideas year after year after year, and challenging our production partners, because these are things that have not been tried before, have not been done before. And that kind of jump into the abyss of, will this really work? I can tell you that when John McEnroe walks into that court, day one of the shoot, and we were still calibrating the robot, the mechanical arms and everything else, and it was not working perfectly, day one. At that moment, we thought, well, maybe we kind of overstretched a little bit. So we overnight, we got a tennis pro in, calibrated all of the equipment correctly. So when John got back on set, things were working. But for a split second there, we were staring at the abyss of, maybe this is not going to work.
I love those stories. There's always that moment, isn't there? Anything, it wouldn't be worth doing it. You're only pushing boundaries if you get to that point where it might or might not work, right? Because otherwise, if it's too safe, it would have been done before.
Exactly.
So you've been producing some amazing work. Super Bowl, obviously high profile. Love the innovation. I mean, it's just fascinating to talk about. I could talk about it all day. Let's talk about the business results, though, right? So, how's the brand performed in the last 5 years in the US?
Well, as I mentioned, 41% growth between 2019 and 2023. An incredible growth trajectory on what has been and will continue to be a very competitive market for beer and beverages in general. So that is the ultimate metric of success for us. It's, are we growing? Are we driving market share? Are we bringing more consumers into our drinker base? That is the ultimate metric. Everything else that we do around it is an enabler to get us to the ultimate end result. And
you've gone from, am I right to say, number 4 to number 2 in that time?
Number 2, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So if you look back then, as marketers, we're all trying to build long-term success. Not all of us stay in our jobs long enough to do it. But anyway, that's another podcast episode. What's the secret to kind of sustain success as a marketer, would you say?
You have to be excited every single day. And of course, some days will be more exciting than others. But you have to keep that passion for the business. And of course, again, I feel incredibly privileged to be able to work for this amazing company and the brands that we have, some of the most iconic brands in the world, and be able to, bet on things like Lap of Legends and bringing the brand into new spaces like soccer. It is incredibly important to continue to challenge your partners, in our case, Wieden & Kennedy, FCB New York, to come up with the very best work, knowing that we're going to buy it. It's always that dynamic that we have. If you bring great work, we commit to buying it and making it.
How do you get That's quite a statement then. How do you get that signed off then? Because it's easy to say, isn't it? Like, you come up with great work and we'll sign it off, but
It was, probably 5 years ago was probably harder for them to maybe believe 100% of that. But since then, if you look at the track record of work that we've been putting out there, it is established. You bring great work, we will buy it and we will make it.
I think that's one of those secrets, actually, because I've seen that like on KFC. I interviewed the general manager, and the bets they were taking were only possible because of like 7 or 8 years of mutual trust and almost the ability to go, do you know what? We've got to make a decision tomorrow. We're going to do it, knowing that head office has got our back covered, sort of thing. Same on the McDonald's team as well. Another Wideman Kennedy client as well. The ability to keep on getting better and better, built a trust with the client that they'll take much bigger, perceived risks. They're not really, but
right, exactly, and that's an incredibly important component on everything that we touched on. It's this agency brand team partnership, where essentially we are one team. We all succeed together or not. And when problems or when challenges, the McEnroe situation, this is not really working. It's day one. How do we fix it? We're all on the same team. We'll all rally together to fix it. And we are always equally excited for the work and enjoy the process as well. It's important to enjoy the process. I mean, back to Super Bowl, we've been working on this for the last few months. It's the Super Bowl. It's been challenging to deliver to the standard that we want to deliver. But the process itself was an enjoyable one. Everybody's looking back at the process. And I know that I speak for the folks at Wideman Kennedy as well. It has been exhilarating. And we are ready to do it again for next year, even better and faster and everything else, right? But that element of partnership is absolutely critical.
Yeah. I mean, the other flip side of that I found as well is that collaboration is super critical, but the ability to take that and energize the internal team and your customers as well. That's the other part of it, isn't it? Is that if you can take all those creative ideas and the vision for what you're going to do and almost help people to realize what's coming. Because that's often I found. I get really excited by the kind of creative and the ideas we're coming up with. And then you get this kind of blank reaction from the teams. But if you can kind of show them what's possible and they start to anticipate what could be coming, and then you get the energy and you get, better execution in store and through the distribution network and everything else.
Yeah. And look, that's another critical element is the team around you. I mean, of course, everything that I touched on, only possible because we have a phenomenal team of people around it that can live with the ambiguity of some of these projects that there's really no map to, it has not been done before. Like, how do you drive to delivering those things every day? We have an amazing team around it. Again, going back to your original question, excited about the business we're in, excited about the brand, resilient and optimistic at the same time, and incredibly buttoned up in terms of the planning and everything else that goes around it.
Resilience is a good point, isn't it? Because, it doesn't always go well, as you know from last year. So I think having the resilience to believe that actually you're still going in the right direction and doing the right thing is very important for any marketer.
Exactly. You control what you can control, which is putting great plans out there, focus on our consumers, doing work that delights them, and also at the same time continue to push the boundaries of innovation in entertainment to be able to cut through in this very noisy world that we live in today.
Yeah, certainly is. We're talking about noise. Final question then. Where will you be watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, and who are you going to support?
I'll be in Vegas, in the stadium in Vegas, with the team, and who am I supporting? That's a very tricky question. That's gonna get me in trouble. That's gonna get me in trouble.
So, as a big advertiser, do you have to maintain a level of neutrality?
I mean, I love all of the. I mean, look, the Giants are not there.
Yeah.
The Jets are not there. I mean, especially the Jets, my home team here in New York. So at this point in time, I'm there for.
You can enjoy the game, can't you? Because you win either way, right?
And
I think when I went, I spent about 10 hours there, and there was only the 80 minutes or something. Whereas all the trailer park and the halftime show and everything else was quite spectacular.
And we have an amazing event as well Saturday in Vegas, the Michelob ULTRA Country Club, which is by popular demand. We're bringing that event back from last year in Phoenix since it was such a success. So we're bringing, we have an amazing lineup of talent, Alesso, Lil Wayne, and many others to bring an amazing event at Topgolf in Vegas, which is a spectacular venue, Saturday night. So amazing. I'm excited for that.
Well, I've got a bit of an idea for where our next podcast interview needs to be for next year. So
I like that.
We'll work on that. We'll upgrade the studio to somewhere. When does it get announced, the venue for next year? Is it already done? I don't know how these things work.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it, and I'll be the first on.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll book a spot.
We'll do.
Amazing, Ricardo. It's been amazing to talk to you. Thank you. Congratulations on your results, and enjoy the game.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening or watching Uncensored CMO. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please do hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching, hit subscribe there as well. I'd also love to get a review. Reviews make a big difference on other people discovering the show. So please do leave a review wherever you get your podcast. If you want to contact me, you can do. I'm over on X at UncensoredCMO or on LinkedIn, where I'm under my own name, John Evans. Thanks for listening and watching. I'll see you next time.